Well, I own pieces of 25 companies, right? Like I'm involved in businesses that are pretty important. So like the amount of energy I place relative to Hustler, relative to what I get out of it, is something I can't sustain or can't continue to care about. In fact, like there's other businesses that would be in the same space that I'd be more interested, that would give me nods that I should look into.
Yeah, I mean, look, the truth is like 100%. You've been as instrumental, more instrumental than anyone in terms of helping me build the games, helping me build this show up over the last few months, year, coming up with all the concepts for the $1 Million Game, the documentary. 100%. I acknowledge that. I apologize for not stating that more publicly on
But you
podcasts and
certainly didn't
whatnot.
in the video. You did a 15-minute reveal.
Which,
I didn't hear my
yeah,
name once.
I mean, obviously the podcast was in my mind just about talking about Doug and talking. You're talking the last one, I assume. Talking about just the players that are playing in that game and how the game is working. So, I mean, yeah, Doug's the one that asked the questions. I just I don't know what to say. Like if I knew you were in the game, obviously I would have talked way more about you and your impact. And like yeah, I mean you've had a huge impact. I acknowledge that, and I'm forever in debt to you for that, 100%. So I'll say that here.
I think just like I don't think you answered sort of my question, Ryan. And I'm really like not like trying to pile on. And there's so many things, private conversations, etc. Like if I wanted to like do or say things like to basically like negatively affect your image, Ryan, like I could do that. I really don't want to do that. My only question, which you haven't answered yet, is like, was like there ever a moment where you're like, fuck, man, Garrett did a lot for my businesses. Like, maybe I should show him some sort of loyalty. Like maybe a phone.
Interesting perspective.
Like, of course there is.
Wait, Ryan, wait, just let me finish real quick. Like maybe just like a phone call during Jack 4, like even if like, our like what like we wanted to come out of it was different, and then at the very least, like, with Vertucci and his private little business revenue stream with the YouTube channel, you say like, dude, I'm not fucking doing that to Garrett, man. Like we have like a 6-year business relationship of doing some really great shit together. And I've said publicly, privately, etc. to you like thousands of times, like you've done a lot for me as well, But to just get fucking burned at the stake because Vertucci wants to throw some fucking clicks out there, like, I don't know, man, that shit sucked. And also, like, it's not good for your business. I mean, that's more of an opinion, but it's just like, if I play on HCL next Friday, like, you think that's going to be good for your company? It's just super disappointing, like, from like a loyalty perspective. And obviously I faded this question, when I talked on Doug's podcast and just gave a cookie cutter answer and just said, well, I get why he's doing it from a business perspective if it's negatively affecting his other revenue streams, like whatever. But fuck, man, privately, I was like, dude, that shit is so grimy. Like, who even knows like what your career would be like if we didn't work together all those years,
Okay, so these are 100% mostly fair criticisms, and I don't blame you for feeling that way at all. Like I honestly don't. Like I totally get it. What I will say as a counter is two things. One, like I agree that you did a lot for kickstarting my job as a producer, for also helping us build up this show and winning, so to speak, and all of that. 100%, I recognize that. Anytime someone asks me that, like I would admit that. But would you agree that it goes both ways, and that I did a lot to help you? And I'm going to get to why I'm asking this, but that I helped you as well in terms of like getting you these big, putting these games together and working with you and all of that.
Yeah. And that's why, dude, I got to say, man, like these spaces are just like so legit, especially at like 1:15 in the morning Pacific. Cause it's just like people just getting real and being honest about some shit that otherwise we might go 10 years and never have this conversation.
No, go, Gary, go.
So yeah, I do totally agree. I hope I've given you credit for that time and time again. It was many, many years ago when we first started working together in 2017. I said, shit, Ryan, I think I've walked into a fucking business here where it's like, otherwise I'm retiring from poker. I'm not dealing with all the drama and politics of home games and privatized casino games, but I think we can really do something special together here. And we did. And I made a lot of fucking money playing poker once or twice a week over the many years we worked
Mm-hmm.
together. And you were instrumental to that. There's no question. And again, I think I've said that publicly, like, 20 different times,
So yeah, if that's the case, then so what I was gonna say is,
oh, sorry, wait, one more thing I
go
wanted to say,
go
the
ahead.
compliment and then again, I just want to make clear, because I haven't said it on the spaces tonight, but I have said it in other places publicly. Please do not like take what I've said to you as like I built like you, Ryan, like I made you or some shit. That's fucking ridiculous. Like Ryan Feldman made Ryan Feldman through working 100 fucking hours a week for the last 7 years. You were such an incredible hard worker, and like you're a good learner. Like you were not good at the job that you do now. I mean, now you have 30 jobs, but you weren't good at your one job of game building, in 2016, 2017. And now you're unbelievably good at like 30 different jobs. And so in no way am I taking credit for any of that. All I'm saying is
Good point.
together, like we have done some truly fucking magical shit. And then what? One chick cheats me in a hand. We both know that's what happened. And like that just like has to be the end of it. Like it's just grimy, dude. It just could have turned out so much differently. I think we both can agree, like we'd both probably be better off if it didn't turn out like the way it did, like between you and I, and we just ignored Vertucci and his drama and bullshit. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, I get all that.
Yeah,
What
Ryan, if only you ignored your ex-boyfriend, then you would be with Garrett forever and happy forever.
so given that, Garrett, like, and like when this stuff all went down, the Jack 4 stuff, um, you chose to handle everything a certain way, obviously, and you said the things you said, you handled it the way you did that night, the next few days, the next few months.
Can
Um, I,
can I hop in with one thing and just say, if you remember in my first statement, I literally said, like, and this was a mistake. I shouldn't have spoken in such absolutes for no other
right.
reason. You look like a jackass. But I said I'm 100% certain the ownership was not involved in this. Like I didn't need to say that, but like I felt extremely confident that you weren't. I mean, first of all, Nick's not a cheater. Like, but like beyond that, like he's not even in the production room. He's not, you're the
Yeah.
one all there every day. And like I was willing to put my entire reputation on the line because I didn't think there was a fucking chance in hell like that you could be involved,
No,
And like
and
and
I appreciate that.
um okay, that's it. Go ahead. Sorry, I
So
cut you
I
off.
appreciate that. But there were things obviously that you chose to do and handle, like whether it was, just the initial reaction, the interactions with Robbie, obviously, in when we talked, and the transaction and all of that, the certainty that something did happen, all of that, right? So there were some things out there that because of that, the domino effect, like that obviously it affected our business. It affected my, maybe mental health, so to speak, my uh, and not just me, but Nick as well,
Well, what
and
can I
other
do,
people as well.
bro? What can
No,
like
no,
I
hold on. I'm gonna get to my point. I'm gonna get to my
You're
point.
right.
Okay.
You're right. Sorry.
So
Sorry.
my point is, given all that, right? But me, like, I didn't come out. I don't think so. That I didn't come out and say anything like negative against you. I stayed quiet. I didn't say anything about like, man, like Garrett, he's a dick. He did this. He did that. No, right? But there were some things that affect our business, right? And you're saying like, oh man, like I can't believe you didn't call me during this whole time. Well, it goes both ways. You never called me, and you know that we got fucked up because of this, and that it was like a big deal to us, and that we were going through a lot of shit over those last few months, and you never reached out once. So you can criticize me for like not reaching out, but I was going through shit as well, and so it goes both ways. That's all I'm saying.
I think that that's super fair, and I think I'm gonna get made fun of for saying something nice here again, but like I think in the end, dude, like I think both of us really just wanted a lot more from the other person
Yeah.
over the course of those months. Like I think both of us were really underwhelmed with the other's like reaction, and like basically that like it's one thing to like understand like okay like like if the owners of HCL are two robots trying to do what's best for their business, they're probably going to do what they did, but it was just really hard for me, like on a personal level.
Yeah, I
And
mean, we were
real quick,
both in it.
and it sounds like you're kind of saying the same thing,
Yeah.
which is like, you're like, well, shit, like Garrett and I go way back, man. It would have been better. Like, it would have been really nice if he would have kind of thrown me a bone in those months. And I hear you when you say that.
Yeah, and I honestly, like, it affected me a lot that you never once reached out or even texted me and said, like, hey, bro, like, sorry you got to go through all this shit. Like, how are you doing with all of it? Like, and you can criticize me for the same thing, but I'm just telling you that's just the truth, that over those next few months, I was kind of shocked that you never once reached out, and that we didn't talk until literally like the day that our investigation thing was coming out. And the reason that you reached out is because you knew the investigation was coming out and you wanted to talk about like how we should tweet to like make it look good or whatever, like, but never once did we have a private conversation before that where you're like, man, like, and just like reflect and talk privately like we did years ago when we used to be friends and hang out and talk about all types of stuff. So again, I'm not saying that I was perfect. I'm not saying that I shouldn't have also like reached out, because I thought about it many times. I'm just saying that, it goes both ways. That's all.
Yeah, I hear you. Just like, food for thought. Like, imagine, like, even after all that, dude, like, you and I get on the phone in January or February or whatever, and then you just speak with me the same way we spoke about everything that was private for our ears only for years and years. And you say, hey, listen, like, I'm having a little bit of trouble, like, with the lineups. Like, we have Ben back in the mix, and, Ben's super cutthroat about the lineups. Like, like, what are you thinking, Garrett? Do you think you might want to play? Like, maybe it could work out best for both of us if you play once a month, once a quarter. I mean, there's no way you can argue that wouldn't have been a better situation for both of us instead of just this absolute clusterfuck the way it turned out.
No, 100%. I wish that it would have went different. I mean, the truth is there was a lot of pressure from multiple players. So again, I wish it went different. I acknowledge that. But the truth is that not only were we facing the public pressure of all the, Berkeys and the talking heads that were constantly just bashing us, and me, deciding, do I defend myself? Do we leave it? Do we do this? We're working on what changes should we make? All of that, like, constantly from, the moment that it happened until we didn't really get through all of it till like the new year. That was constantly on my mind, and that was all I really cared about. And so I didn't even get to really think about anything else till January. And then in that time, we had a bunch of players who constantly were just like, if you ever have Garrett on the show again, I'm never playing again, and I don't want to play with Garrett, and all types of stuff. I'm not lying. Like, this is real stuff. And so, I was just like, all right, well, I just don't want to deal with this. Like, this is just too much. Like, I just hope this all just, goes away. And that's just the truth, is that it was a lot of it was overwhelming.
I think Hustler would benefit from Garrett being on at least sometimes, not at zero.
Yeah, and that was the initial plan from the beginning, was, well, if it comes, hopefully he comes back one day and it will never be the same and we'll never be able to have him on once a week because of different reasons. But, maybe we'll have him on once in a while, like on a special game. Like, that was my initial thought shortly after that. But then, things changed a little bit.
But Garrett, can you admit that maybe you shouldn't take such a cutthroat perspective for the game? I mean, like, do you need to win so much, or like approach the game where it's like, you're really thinking about every decision? Like I try to like look at it like, yeah, well, don't take my word, I've lost a lot, but like,
No, I think
like
you're
there's some perspective where it's like, I know the game better than someone else that I'm with, so like, handicap yourself a little bit so that it's like a 50-50 fight, and then you guys are all just like on the same playing field.
Yeah, it's a super fair criticism, and it's one that I've very much taken to heart. When, like, shit blew up, like, again with the announcement that Hustler's not having me back, and then a bunch of people trying to explain why. I totally like hear where you're coming from, Alan. It makes sense. I think going back to Will's comment hours ago, I can't believe I've been doing this shit for this long, but he asked, like, like, do you miss poker? Like, you're such a competitor. And I think that part is kind of challenging to me. Like, I know how to, like, make sure, like, when Dylan Gang slow rolls me, not to react. I know when Wes needles me after every hand, like not to let it bother me. Like I always treat people with respect.
Wait, hold on.
Wait,
Can I
real,
stop you? Have you considered starting a drug addiction? Maybe that would help with your
it could
preferred
possibly,
team.
but like all of that. But like it is honestly a bit challenging for me to wrap my head around. Not playing my best in hands like
Stop
that.
playing your best. Your best is too good. Stop.
I
Stop
know,
playing your fucking
but
best. Stop it. It's
honestly,
so
Alan,
annoying.
your criticism is well taken. And
Stop.
again, like no bullshit. I've watched from afar, like over the years, from when we first met 10, 15 years ago, how wildly successful you've been in life. And I go, this guy obviously knows some shit I don't know, so the point's well taken.
Oh, patronizing. I wish you could catch those chipping.
I'm gonna cut in here, guys. I kind of want to sort of wrap this kind of segment up, if you guys are cool with that, just because